So this is a brief introduction to, the so-called builders in Docker. Okay, it won't take much time. Okay, so it's mostly theoretical. Okay, so we'll talk about what is BuildKit, what is Buildx, and what are builders, and how do you manage these builders. Okay, so let's look at the Docker build architecture. So we know that whenever we are doing Docker build, so what Docker build is doing, it is building your Docker file, right, into an image, right? So Docker build is the basic command that you use to create the images. Correct, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So Docker build, so basically it uses the concept of builder to build the image for you. So it, in the earlier versions of Docker, the Docker used to use the legacy builder, so which is quite slow and it doesn't support multi-platform images creation and all. But now Docker implements this build architecture using different set of tools. Okay. So the client tool is known as Buildx and the server tool is known as BuildKit. Okay. So it follows the client server architecture where Buildx is the client and builder is the BuildKit. So both of these are already included in the latest version of Docker Desktop and Docker Engine. So you don't have to separately understand this Buildx or separately install this Buildx and builder or BuildKit. Okay, so BuildKit here, it's a software that manages the builds for you. Okay, it is also known as a builder. Okay, the terms can be confusing, but by the end of this session, you'll understand. Okay, so BuildKit is the client and builder is the or BuildKit is the daemon. Okay, so Buildx is a CLI tool, just like your Docker CLI. Buildx is also CLI. Okay, so this Buildx CLI, it is a replacement for the legacy Docker build client. So which used to come with earlier versions of Docker Engine and Docker Desktop. Okay, but in the newer versions of Docker Desktop and Docker Engine, okay, so this Buildx is already included in your installation, and you don't have to separately invoke this Buildx. So whenever you're doing Docker build, in the backend, it is actually using Buildx only as the client. Okay, clear, guys? So, but if you have earlier versions of Docker, and let's assume you wanted to use Buildx features, so then you include Docker Buildx and build, right? Clear, guys? Any
Uh,
questions?
Earlier,
Vikram,
it's like how
sorry,
long?
go ahead.
I mean, earlier, I mean, I have like we quite years back or like, I mean,
Like I think last year.
because we
Okay,
never
so
build
if
like
you have,
even in last year also we just use Docker and build command. That's it.
yeah, that's right. So Buildx, you can download it separately, and then if you want Docker build to command to use Buildx, which you installed along with the earlier versions, then you should include Buildx. Got it? Because Docker build in your old versions, it will use the legacy builder. If you want to consider Buildx, then you should include Buildx. Okay. So Buildx is not just a simple CLI. It does a lot of other things. It can also create a builder. So I'll talk about what is a builder. So remember, BuildKit, which is a daemon, it is a builder. So similarly, there will be multiple builders which are responsible for building your Docker files. Okay. And Docker Buildx is installed by default with Docker Desktop, so you don't have to worry about installing separately. Okay. And Docker Engine version 23.0 and latest, you know, you can also install Buildx separately, but Buildx is included in the Docker Engine installation. I mean, if you want to install Buildx, you can just refer the official documentation. It is also there. But if you are using the latest version of Docker Desktop, it is already there. So if I have to prove that, I can simply use Docker build X. You will see that the Docker responds. Okay. So the Docker BuildX is used to extend the build capabilities. Okay. So normally you won't get more features with legacy builder. So with BuildX, you'll have more features. Okay. So like, support for multi-platform images and all those things you will understand slowly. Okay. And what is BuildKit is, it is the daemon process. Okay. So that is responsible for building your workload. So BuildKit is the CLI, Buildx is the daemon process. Got it? And this is the default builder in all the latest versions of Docker Desktop and Docker Engine. Okay, it replaces the legacy builder. So which means when you're doing Docker build and all, it is actually BuildKit that is building the Docker image for you. Okay. So whenever you do Docker build, so Buildx client is going to send the data to the BuildKit, and BuildKit is responsible for building your container image. Clear, guys? So remember, it replaces the old legacy builder. Okay, so there are a lot of advantages here. So the other advantage is, so whenever you're trying to build something with the Docker file and you require a file to be available to the BuildKit, like you're trying to copy some files and all. So using legacy builder, your build tool usually will copy everything, but using Buildx, so Buildx will detect which all files are needed, and only those files are sent to the daemon for building it. Okay. So again, your complete build process is auto optimized if you're using BuildKit. Okay. So not only that, BuildKit provides a lot of other performance improvements as well. Okay, so let's say if you are using multi-stage builds and somehow some stages are not being used. In the legacy builder, all those stages will be built. But if you use BuildKit, it will detect and skip any unused build stages. So your Docker build command will, it will complete in much lesser time. Okay, and also it can parallelize builds. Okay, so if you have multiple stages in a Docker file, so your build kit can parallelly build them. Okay, but with the legacy builder, it is always a consecutive way. Okay, and also if there are any files that are unused in the build context, so your build kit can detect and skip them. So there are a lot of features. Even build kit also supports multi-platform images as well. Got it? Understood, guys? Okay, then what are builders? Okay, so builder is nothing but a daemon. So your build kit itself, um, so 1 second, we bind the sessions. Okay. So a builder is a build kit daemon. A builder means the software that is responsible for building your Docker images. Okay. As we said, build kit is that software, right? So which means it is a builder. Got it? So here your build kit is the build engine. So that will read all the instructions from the Docker file and it will build. Okay. So you can also create your own builder. Okay. So let's say I don't want to build my images locally. I want to build them in a remote machine. So that is where we will talk about Docker Build Cloud. So Docker has come up with their own cloud. So where you can connect to those VMs and then not connect, we can use those VMs for our build activities. Okay. So which means instead of using the builder, which is available in my local machine, so I can use the builder, which is available in my remote machine. Okay. So which means I have a ability to create builders, various builders. Got it? Clear, guys? And whenever you install Docker, right, it automatically creates BuildKit daemon, a builder, so which is based on BuildKit. That's the default one. So if I just, show you, so Docker uh, build BuildX ls. Okay. So this will list all the builders available in my machine. So don't get confused. Builder means build kit daemon. Okay. If you see, I have two builders. Okay. So the one with the default is the default builder. Okay. So that is about the builder. So Docker default, by default, it comes with a builder, and that builder is responsible for running all your builds locally. But how do I talk to remote builders? like Docker build cloud and all. So here you can take the advantage of build drivers to create your own builder of a specific type. Let's say when we are trying to create networks, okay, we have an option to create a bridge network, host network, and none network, right? Because we have drivers, correct? Right, guys?
Yeah.
If I say Docker network ls, so we have three different drivers. So using this driver, I can create a network of specific type. Similarly, I have multiple builders. So I have a builder known as Docker, builder known as Docker container, builder known as Kubernetes and remote. So what is this Docker builder is, this is a default builder. Okay, so which means whatever Docker build commands that you execute will be taken by this builder. So this builder comes with by default with your installation, and this builder uses the BuildKit library which is embedded into the daemon. Okay, so it can be very confusing. So the meaning of this is, so I have a Docker desktop, so that has a daemon. Okay, so we know that whenever we invoke any Docker build commands, it has to be executed by a builder. So the default builder is the BuildKit, which is embedded with the daemon. Okay, so this embedded builder is known as Docker builder. Okay, similarly, I have Kubernetes builder. So I don't want to build my Docker files or the images within the machine. So I want to create inside the Kubernetes pods. So for that, I need to create a builder of type Kubernetes. Okay. Similarly, I want to build my applications, container images in Docker build cloud or in some remote machine. Then I need to create a builder. So which has, remote as the build driver. Got it? Remote or cloud. There is one more called Docker container builder. So what is the meaning of this is, so whenever I execute Docker build command, okay, to create my image, so separate container will be available and already created. Okay. So inside this container, your build will happen. So why I need Docker container builder is in order to create multi-platform images, I require this Docker hyphen container builder. Got it, guys? Clear?
So
So
Docker
the
and
default one is the Docker builder, which is using BuildKit library, which comes with the daemon. I can use remote builder. I can use Kubernetes pod as builder, or I can create a separate container and I can build my images inside that container. That is known as Docker hyphen container build driver. Okay. So why I'm using all these separate builders is, so it depends upon the requirement. Okay. So let's say, if I use a default builder called Docker, it may not give me an option to build multi-architecture images. Okay. But if I use builders like remote builder, Kubernetes builder, or Docker container builder, if you see, all of them supports creating images for multiple architectures. Okay. They can also export the image as a tar output. Okay. And they might also have the build kit configuration. So these are all various builders available. Okay, even if you open Docker desktop, right? So you can also see all the available builders, um, you know, uh, with your installation. If I go to this builds, um, I think it's not here. It is in the here builders. Okay, if you see, I have two set of builders. Okay, so one is the default one, which is Docker builder. So there is another one called desktop Linux. This is also a builder. And if you see, both these builders are running. So by default, Docker will use this, Docker builder. Okay. See here, builder is a daemon. So you can see here, you can stop, remove, but the problem is this is a default builder and this is in the running state. It is using the driver as Docker. Okay. Uh, yeah. See, it all supports building the application for all these architectures. Got it? So this is an advanced concept. In the previous versions of Docker, we never used to have all these builders and all. Okay, but you will realize the real advantage of builder in two sessions. One is when we are trying to create multi-platform images, and the other is when we are using Docker build cloud. That is a remote builder. Clear?
Vikram, this is default, right? So it does not support the multi-architecture, right? But in the bottom, it shows multi-architecture.
Yeah, I mean, see, individually it supports. I can build them separately. Okay, you can see it is a single platform. Okay. So with a single run build command, I cannot, basically create multi-architecture image. So individually I can build. Okay,
In the
you'll understand it.
okay.
When we talk about multi-platform.
Okay.
So
Can we
when
add
I try to
multiple
build it, it will fail and it will say that this builder is not supported.
okay. Okay.
Okay.
Can we add multiple drivers as well? I
Ah,
mean,
yeah, correct. We'll see that as well.
okay.
Okay. So you can use Docker Buildx. So Buildx is a client tool that will talk to the BuildKit, right? So we should use Buildx. And if you try to list all the builders, you will see a couple of builders depending upon where you install. So these might change. And the default one is this *. Okay. So if I have to change the default one, if I go to Docker desktop, okay, I can just use this as the builder. And then the other one, it will still run, but that won't be set as the default one. Okay, that is one thing. And let's say, so when you're trying to build an image using Docker build command, so by default, this builder is going to run that particular Docker file and build. So if I want this builder, which is called my builder, okay, you can see also the driver like Docker driver, Docker container driver. Okay, if I include one builder that is for remote builds, then the driver would be called as remote. Okay. Now, if I want to use my builder to run my particular Docker file, then with the Docker build command, I can simply say hyphen builder followed by the name of the builder. Then that builder will be chosen. Otherwise, the default one will be chosen. Clear? Got it, guys? Okay. And I can create my own, what do you say, the builder. So using Docker, Buildx. Okay, if you see all the available options, you have option to list, create, delete, RM, prune, and all those things. Okay, so I'll try to create a builder. So the name of the builder, or else let me get the help section first. Okay, so help section it is asking you to choose a driver. See, driver can be cloud, Kubernetes, Docker container, or remote. Okay, and you can also give the name. So let me create with the name called test. And here, I think the default is the Docker container. Okay. Okay, so Buildx uses the Docker container by default if you omit the hyphen driver flag. Okay, so which means if I'm just creating this driver called test, and if I use Docker Buildx ls to see the driver, so you can see the test builder, it is using the Docker container as the driver. Okay, so if I have to create, let's say something like as test2 with the default type as Docker, then I can use this Docker. Okay, I think additional instances of driver Docker, yes. So you can only have one driver, I mean one builder with the Docker driver. And if I go back to the Docker desktop, you can see here the test builder, which is using the Docker container as the driver. So basically it get created, but here in order to use it, you need to start it. That's the only thing. Okay. Clear, guys? So whenever I want to target my builds to run inside this Docker container, all I have to use is Docker build hyphen driver to test. Then your Docker build will be executing inside this builder. Clear, guys?
Uh,
Guys,
can you show the command last command? What is that error actually?
error means already there is a builder that is using Docker driver, so you can't have one more.
Oh, okay. The
Okay,
name changed. Okay, yeah, okay, fine.
not name. There can be only one builder with it with that driver. Okay,
Oh,
and also I can inspect a builder. So if I say Docker buildx inspect test, it will throw an error saying that currently the builder is not running. So in order to run it, I think you can use bootstrap followed by the name of the builder. Then what it will do is it will try to boot this uh, particular container. So this is a container, right? Uh, Again, that container has to have the image and all, right? Okay, see now, this test container is in the running mode. So any, let's say I wanted to build an image. Okay, so let's say Docker build, where exactly we are already having that Docker file, right? So if I simply use -t and then the name of the image like this. Okay, so it will use a default driver. Otherwise, if I want to use the driver, which I just created known as test, right? Not driver, sorry, it is a builder. Okay, so what will happen is, so this will be executed in the, you can see where it is getting executed. Okay, clear guys? Okay, you can also see the disk usage of the builder by simply running docker buildx disk usage of a specific builder. Okay, because every builder will use some space, right? If you just click on it. So I just gave 6.5 GB. Okay, because inside this builder, it has to store the build cache and all. Okay, any questions?
What was that command you made in the local to build, start it up? Bootstrap, right?
That is inspect.
Oh,
If
okay.
I have to build something, so along with the docker build command, you just pass the flag of the builder that has to execute that particular build. Okay.
No, yeah, above this, previous to this command. Yeah, this one. Inspect bootstrap test. Okay. This will start the created,
Yeah, correct.
right? Okay.
Correct. Correct. Okay. So what will happen if I just simply, uh, try to
And
remove it?
and Vikram,
Okay.
we can toggle between these drivers, right?
Yeah, correct. Okay. If I try to delete it, see here, my Docker build failed because that builder is not there now. I just removed it. Okay. Any questions?
How can we set the default?
So default one. Okay, I shown, right? I've already. So
No,
this is default.
how to make my, I mean, like the one which I created as the default for if I just do not
Yeah,
mention.
so you have to just come and click on use.
Only one will be running, both will be running right now, right?
Yeah, both will be running, but there should be one default.
Yeah, I mean, I want to set the default to some other one. I mean,
See here. Oh, so you mean to set the default one?
yeah,
Okay, not this select. 1 second. There should be a command. There should be a command for the Docker Buildx. I think that I covered in the cloud. Okay. I think use command. This use only. Use set the current builder instance. Currently it is the default one. So what is the other name? The other name is Docker hyphen.
not desktop icon
I
line.
think that's the only one we have. Okay, that is the only one driver. Okay, we don't have multiple drivers.
Yeah, we have only one and it's
Okay,
renamed
so
as default.
it is named as default, but it is using Docker desktop Linux. That is the name.
Yeah,
Okay,
if we
so both
created
is using, so it
that is
is still the same. So I don't have an extra one to set as default, or else let me create another one.
the test which we created just now.
Docker buildx create the name of the test, and then Docker buildx ls. And then let me say use builder test. Okay, I'll go back here. Let me start it.
So Vikram, this thing we can't do in Linux, right?
No, you can do in Linux as well. Here I think I also have
You cannot
Buildx.
start the Buildx on the CLI. It has to be on the GUI, right?
No, I'm just showing it in the GUI. It is still there.
The bootstrap command, right? Like the which we showed.
Yeah, you can say docker buildx create. The name of the driver is test. Okay, and then no, I'm just showing in the GUI because it's easy for you to understand.
Oh, okay.
See here, I can also
That's
use that builder test, and then if I list, it will be in the it will be starting in some time. Okay, because it has to pull that particular image. And also if I just use docker buildx, use that builder test, you will see that now that builder became the default one. So this asterisk, right, it is now pointing to test, which means that is the default builder now. Okay, it will take some time, but it will come to the running state. Or else I think, just a second, I think I need to start. It's not required.
starts build
Or
six.
else let's say docker buildx inspect hyphen bootstrap the builder test. Yeah, so now it starts.
Okay.
Okay, and if I just list all the builders, you can see the test is the default one. Now it is in the running state. Okay, so this Docker container builder is important because for multi-platform images, that is a requirement. Okay. Any questions, guys?
So first we bootstrap, I mean start inspect via bootstrap, it comes up, then we
Yeah.
make it default.
Yeah. So this also, will be starting. Yeah, I think it is paused. Builder is not act to start the builder. Okay, I think it is taking some time. Once it starts, it becomes a default.
So Vikram, this Docker container builder,
Mhm.
so we can use it only for multiple platform or we can use
No,
it for
so
multiple
that has
machine?
support. If you see this chart, right, it has support for, lot of other things as well, like cache export, tarball output, multi-architecture, BuildKit. So these are the added advantages when you compare with the default Docker builder. Okay. Any
Yeah.
questions? You can see whenever we try to use the builder using Docker buildx use, so that will be set as the default one. Okay, I think it is taking some time. Okay, similarly, we can also use the latest Docker build cloud. So I suggest you, go to this docs, click on Docker build. You can go through all these docs, and then if you just click on this Docker build cloud, so you'll understand why Docker build cloud has been introduced, what advantages it is going to give, how to use this. Okay, and the thing is here you need to create a Docker account, and also you need to sign up for Docker build cloud dashboard. Okay, they have free plan as well, which will give you I think 15 minutes. Yeah, 15 minutes I think of free build minutes, and a credit card is required for the verification purpose, but they are not going to charge you anything. 50 minutes will be free. Okay, so there are a lot of advantages. Again, I'll talk about them tomorrow. Okay, so you have support for multi-architecture builds. Your cache is now stored remotely. Okay, your builds will be faster. So there are a lot of advantages. And by the way, I forgot to ask one question. So what is multi-architecture Docker image? Hmm? What is multi-arch? Multiple architecture. So now tell me, like, how many architectures are available?
x86, 64-bit, and
I mean, like, there are many architectures, but the commonly used ones are AMD, ARM, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So here, let's say I'm running Mac M1. So Mac M1 is based on ARM architecture. Okay. So if you create a container image in that ARM architecture, that container image can only be run in ARM architecture. But all your EC2 instances and all the other AWS services, right? They run on AMD architecture. Okay. So will your container image run on AMD if it is created on ARM?
No.
No. So that's the reason why we generate images for multiple architectures. Okay, so let's say I'll just show one of my image. Okay, and if I just go to the tags, you can see that this image, whatever I created, it only works on AMD 64. Okay, and if I go to Docker Hub and search for Nginx, okay, any popular image, and then just take any tag, you can see it supports multiple architectures. Okay, got it?
While pulling the image, we can mention
No, it's
which
not
architecture
required.
you want.
So when you're pulling an image, your Docker CLI will automatically detect your architecture and it will pull only that particular image.
But
Got it?
what happened, no? When
So if you try to
they
pull
show
an
multiple
architecture image, which is not based on your system architecture, it won't run. Yes, you can pull. Okay, so using Docker run, I think Docker pull command. Okay, so if you get the help section, you have an option to mention the platform. Okay, so let me quickly show you this. So let me pull an Nginx image, which is based on this on ARM v5. Okay, so where did I copy it? Okay, so Docker pull Nginx, and I'll just say -- platform is just a second. Okay. Okay, it is downloaded. Now, if you try to inspect that image like Nginx, you can see the architecture somewhere. It is ARM v5. Got it? Try to run it. So Docker run -d. I'm just running it without any p. See here, what happened?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, but if I
Yes, correct.
try to pull an image without giving this platform tag, so automatically the underlying platform image will be pulled and it will be replaced in your file system. I mean, you will not see multi-platform images in your local machine. So if you have Nginx, it will always be pointing to only one architecture locally. Okay. Now what I can do is I can run this. If you see Docker PS, it will run. Okay. Clear, guys?
Yeah.
Any questions?
So, there is no way to run that ARM architecture with different driver, nothing
No. So drivers are only meant to build.
built. Okay. So at last we have to go to
Yeah,
the
so you need to target,
install.
you need to install or run it in your target operating system only. Okay. Yeah.
How can we create? I mean, like let's say I'm using Mac M1, which is on ARM. Can I create AMD image.
You can create, yes, using we'll see that in the coming session.